Have you ever laid in bed in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling, your mind constantly calculating how much money is left in your bank account? Or scrolled through social media, watching people show off their vacation photos and new car keys, unable to stop yourself from muttering, "Where do these people get all this money?" Honestly, I used to do this too. Every time I saw someone on social media buying a house or getting a new car, I'd start questioning my life, wondering if I was the only one living so tight. That is, until I dug deep into a bunch of data and discovered a truth that's both shocking and kind of funny. Most people's financial situations are probably worse than you imagine. SEC https://www.sec.gov/pdf/handbook.pdf. My name is Elio, and I love thinking about money. Today I want to talk to you about the real financial situation of average Americans. I guarantee some of these numbers will make you breathe easier, while others will make you gasp. But either way, after reading this, you'll at least know where you stand in this money game. Hashtag when it comes to income, it's not as glamorous as you think. Let's start with the basics. Income. When you get your paycheck every 2 weeks, have you ever wondered if you're earning more or less than average? According to the latest labor statistics, the median weekly earnings for full-time workers is just over $1,000. That works out to about $52,000 a year. Note, this is pre-tax income, and we're talking about individual income, not including what your spouse or other family members earn. SEC https://www.sec.gov/pdf/handbook.pdf. What does median mean? It means half the people earn more than this number, and the other half earn less. If you're making around $26 an hour, congratulations, you're that middle-of-the-pack worker. But here's the problem. That $52,000 is pre-tax. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare get deducted, you might only take home $35,000 to $40,000. Suddenly, that doesn't seem like so much money anymore, does it? Think about it. You're taking home maybe $3,000 something a month, and you still have to pay rent, buy groceries, maintain your car, pay insurance. When you calculate it this way, don't you suddenly feel like you're not doing so bad after all? Hashtag retirement savings. Most people haven't even thought about it. Income is just the surface. What really exposes the problem is retirement savings. When I first saw this data, I was completely stunned. The Federal Reserve survey shows that the median retirement account balance for Americans is $65,000. Sounds pretty good? Wait, I'm not done yet. This number includes all age groups, all people who have retirement accounts. Here's the kicker. About a quarter of Americans don't have a retirement account at all. Zero. Not a penny saved. You heard that right. 1 in every 4 people plans to rely entirely on Social Security for retirement. And that's assuming the Social Security system hasn't collapsed by the time they retire. Let's look more closely at different age groups. People under 25 have a median retirement account balance of less than $2,000. Okay, if you're 23 and just started working, being able to save $2,000 isn't bad. People aged 25 to 34 have a median of about $14,000. You've been working for several years and only saved this much? By the time people reach 65 and older, the median balance is about $88,000. Sounds pretty good, right? But calculate this. Following the traditional 4% withdrawal rule, you can only take out $3,500 a year from your account. That's less than $300 a month. $300 a month. What do you think that can do? Even if your mortgage is paid off, this amount isn't enough to cover groceries, utilities, and medical expenses. This is why understanding these numbers is so important. If you're in your 20s or 30s now and still aren't alarmed by these figures, you're going to suffer later. Hashtag can Social Security save you? Stop dreaming. Speaking of Social Security, since so many people are counting on it for retirement, let's see how much it actually provides. Social Security Administration data shows that the average monthly Social Security benefit is about $1,550 or $18,600 a year. This number seems okay, especially if you don't have a mortgage payment. But notice, this is the average number. If you had years during your career when you didn't work, or your income was consistently low, your Social Security benefit could be far below this number. Some people might not even be able to keep the lights on with what they receive. Of course, some people take the completely opposite strategy. They don't count on Social Security at all, treating it as a pleasant surprise. This might sound overly cautious, but considering the long-term funding issues with the Social Security system, this approach might actually be pretty smart. Hashtag spending money. It's more extreme than you think. Let's change topics and talk about expenses. How much does the average American household spend per month? The Bureau of Labor Statistics says about $5,577 a month. That adds up to $67,000 a year. SEC. https://www.sec.gov/pdf/handbook.pdf. Think about what this means. If a household spends $67,000 a year, they need to earn at least that much just to not go into debt. And I'm talking about take-home pay, not pre-tax income. Want to save some money, invest something, build some wealth? Then you need to earn way more than this. Where does this money go? The biggest chunk is housing, $1,885 per month. This includes rent or mortgage, property taxes, insurance, utilities, and maintenance. That's over $22,000 a year just to have a roof over your head. If you live in San Francisco or New York, you'd probably laugh out loud at this number. $1,800 might not even get you a closet with a window. Food is the second biggest expense, averaging $691 per month, including groceries and eating out. That's over $8,000 a year just to feed everyone. Honestly, if you're feeding your whole family on less than $700 a month, either you really know how to manage money, or you're living on ramen and peanut butter sandwiches every day. Transportation is another big chunk, $913 per month. Car payments, insurance, gas, maintenance, and public transit fees add up to nearly $11,000 a year just to get from point A to point B. This is why financial experts say housing and transportation combined shouldn't exceed half your income. You do the math. $1,800 plus $900 is $2,700. And we haven't even counted anything else yet. Hashtag credit score. Most people are just barely passing. Let's talk about credit scores. Many people know this matters, but don't know if theirs is good or bad. According to Experian data, the average American FICO score is 715. Credit scores max out at 850, so 715 is considered good territory. SEC. https://www.sec.gov/pdf/handbook.pdf. This shows that most people are at least doing some things right. Paying bills on time, keeping debt reasonable. But don't be fooled by this average. There are still plenty of people with scores in the 500s and 600s, wondering why their loan interest rates are so high. Credit scores affect so many things: mortgage rates, car loan terms, and some employers even check credit before hiring. The good news is maintaining a decent credit score isn't hard. Pay your bills on time, don't max out your credit cards, and don't open a new card just to save $10. It's that simple, but somehow a lot of people still mess it up. Hashtag credit card debt. This is the real killer. Speaking of credit, we need to talk about the elephant in the room: credit card debt. The average household owes over $9,000 in credit card debt. $9,000. This isn't a car loan. It isn't a mortgage. It's not buying anything that holds value. This is $9,000 thrown away on junk that's probably sitting in a closet gathering dust or already in the trash. SEC. https://www.sec.gov/pdf/handbook.pdf. What makes it even worse is the interest rate. Credit card interest rates of 15%, 20%, even 25% are common. If you owe $9,000 at 20% interest, you're throwing away $1,800 a year just on interest. This money could have been used to build wealth, but instead it all goes to credit card companies. Honestly, most credit card debt doesn't come from buying necessities. Sure, sometimes there are real emergencies, but let's be honest. How much of that $9,000 went to clothes, electronics, eating out, online shopping sprees, and impulse purchases? The solution is actually pretty straightforward, even if it's not easy to implement. Pay off your credit card balance in full every month. If you can't afford to pay cash for it, don't charge it, unless it's a real emergency. If you already owe a pile of debt, make paying it off your #1 financial priority, even more important than retirement savings. What's the point of earning 7% in the stock market if you're paying 20% in credit card interest? Hashtag net worth. This is the real report card. Let's talk about net worth, which is probably the best single metric for measuring financial health. Net worth is simply what you own minus what you owe. Add up the value of your house, car, bank accounts, retirement accounts, everything valuable you own, then subtract your mortgage, credit card debt, student loans, and you get your net worth. Federal Reserve data shows the median net worth for American households is about $122,000. But like retirement savings, this number varies dramatically by age. SEC. https://www.sec.gov/pdf/handbook.pdf. People under 35 have a median net worth of less than $14,000. If you're 25 and just starting your career, having $14,000 isn't bad. But if you're 34 and still at $14,000, you might want to have a serious conversation with yourself about your financial trajectory. The 35 to 44 age group has a median of $91,000. 45 to 54-year-olds hit $168,000. 55 to 64-year-olds reach $212,000. And those 65 to 74 hit $266,000. What's interesting is these numbers are actually achievable for most people with stable income, as long as they have some basic financial discipline. You don't need to be a stock market genius or start a successful business. You just need to consistently spend less than you earn and invest the difference. Hashtag savings rate. This number is a joke. How much do Americans actually save? Bureau of Economic Analysis data shows about 6% after taxes. SEC. https://www.sec.gov/pdf/handbook.pdf. 6%. That's it. Sounds okay? But think about it carefully. If you're only saving 6% of your income, and some of that has to go towards short-term goals like buying a car or making a house down payment, how much can really go toward building long-term wealth? Think about it. Average house down payment is $62,000. Kitchen renovation is $26,000. New car is $47,000. If you're only saving 6%, and these short-term goals all cost money, how much can actually go into your retirement account? Most financial experts recommend saving at least 10% to 15% of your income specifically for retirement, and that's on top of other savings goals. If you want to retire early and not work until you're 70, you probably need to save even more. Hashtag the truth about retirement age. It's heartbreaking. What age do you think most people retire? If you guessed 65, you're close, but not exactly right. Latest data shows the average retirement age in America is 61. Sounds good, right? Retire at 61. Spend the rest of your life doing whatever you want. SEC. https://www.sec.gov/pdf/handbook.pdf. But wait, most people can't collect full Social Security benefits until age 67. So if you retire at 61, you've got a 6-year gap to figure out on your own. If your retirement savings look anything like those numbers we discussed, these 6 years are going to be pretty rough. Think about it another way. If you start working at 22 and retire at 61, you've been in the workforce for 39 years. Nearly 40 years of waking up early, commuting, dealing with bosses, sitting in meetings, and in the end your retirement account might have $88,000, which, as we calculated earlier, only gives you $300 a month. Does that sound like a good deal to you? Honestly, I think that's a terrible deal. The Social Security Administration says someone who reaches 65 can expect to live another 19 to 21 years. So if you retire at 61, you might have 25 years or more of retirement to fund. 25 years is a long time, possibly longer than your entire career up to that point. And here's the heartbreaking question. How many of those 25 retirement years will you actually be healthy enough to enjoy? At 61, you're probably still in decent shape, but what about at 71 or 81? Time catches up with everyone. And what you can do at 65 might not be what you can handle at 75. Hashtag, so what should you actually do? This is why understanding these statistics isn't just about satisfying curiosity. It's telling you that the way ordinary people handle money simply doesn't work. When the typical American retires with less than $90,000 saved and still owes $9,000 in credit card debt, something is seriously wrong with this picture. But the good news is, once you know what average looks like, it becomes pretty clear how to do better than average. And doing better than average doesn't require any magic formula or secret knowledge that only rich people have. If you're saving more than 6% of your income, you're already ahead of most people. If you don't carry credit card debt, you're way ahead of the game. If you understand what you're investing in and you're actually putting money into retirement accounts regularly, you've already left most people in the dust. Put simply, as long as you're just a little bit more careful than average, you can live better than most people. This sounds kind of sad, but it also gives you hope. You really don't need to try that hard to win at this money game. The key is to start acting now. Don't wait until you're 61 to discover you've only saved $88,000 and have to live on $300 a day. Tell me, how are you supposed to live like that?